Who votes we start using like 67% more finger puppets in the show? Guys, you can't vote. You're just my fingers. Kirsten's Agenda is the name of my show. It's a way to make art and learn stuff and grow. There will be lots of segments and maybe some guests. 10 minutes of deep breath, that is my quest. If while we're here, then our insides expand to be more compassionate to our fellow man and woman and person. And remember, the truth is that kindness is cool. Have sex with my feelings and being cruel. Because our power lies in our minds and our hearts. Opening up is a really good place to start. Kirsten's Agenda. Did you guys hear that? It sounds like it bleeped the word fuck out of my song. Adam, why would they bleep me saying fuck? Why the fuck would they do that?
It's actually just for one episode. They'd like to run some ads to expand your audience a little bit.
Why?
Well, you know, more views equals more money.
We want to make money from this show. We can make money?
Yes.
No, really?
A little.
It's kind of what was making me sane was that we were just kind of doing it for the love of, and if it was a shit show, no one had to worry about being a shit show because it's a show that we're doing for free, so it can be a shit show.
Well, Kirsten, money can be exchanged for goods and services.
I like goods and services. Let's say that you got cat food for your cats that they have to specially make because your cat has this thing. And let's say that they pack it in dry ice and the dry ice came today. You do what any normal person would do, right? You do what any normal person would do. You do is try to save it for as long as you can. This is a segment called Your Feelings. I got really offended when I saw it on a t-shirt a few years back, but I'm reclaiming it. And again, offended. Why? What is the point? Exactly. I see people of all ilks of political worlds getting offended too, by the way. I mean, everybody just jumps to getting like bent out of shape about other people. And it's so
You're boring. You
boring.
make me sleepy.
Makes me sleepy. It's a waste of energy. Cruelty and carrots. Raw carrots. Those are really the only things, as we discussed before. Let's do one good breath. The directions are inhale and exhale. Make the exhale longer than the inhale. Realize that you have the privilege by being able to breathe right now, because guess what? There's a virus, and guess what? It's real.
Is it real? What
Even
if it's
makes you
not
uncomfortable.
real? Maybe it's not real.
Sorry.
No, it's
Okay,
not. Shut
we're
up.
gonna
Your
take
breath
an
thing is
inhale and an
stupid.
exhale, and enjoy the exhale. Make it much longer than the inhale. Here we go. Breathing is free. Everybody gets to do it. I encountered someone on Twitter. Her name was Celeste Pewter. And she had these scripts to write to your congresspeople. And I loved them. Not only did I love that, but I loved how smart this person was and their ability to, when everybody else was running around getting offended about stuff that was happening in politics, this person, Celeste Pewter, was so level-headed and was like, this is the thing that's happening right now. This is the thing you need to do. And I liked it a lot. And so I glommed onto her. That's what I do when I like things a lot. I glom. Sometimes I glom secretly because I don't want people to know about the thing I've glommed about. Like, for instance, when I fell in love with Duran Duran, I didn't tell people. Like right now when I'm telling you,
Don't tell them. Don't tell them. Don't tell
that
them.
you're going to take my band away from me, which is weird. With Celeste Pewter, I was so excited. I wanted to share her with everybody because I wanted everybody to have this experience of this incredibly smart person providing intel on how to actually communicate with your elected officials. So here we are about to, like you said, have elections. So we're concerned about voting rights for everybody. If you are in a state like ours that that does take care of its people voting wise, there's really nothing we can do aside from telling our people, hey, we appreciate what you're doing. And we could ensure that California seems to be more aware of the safety precautions that we need right now. This is not an imaginary virus that is happening. It's an actual thing. So we seem to be aware of that. So if you live in a state that has this on lock, what can you do to help other states? And I think what you're saying, and please add if I'm missing things, what you can do in a state, if this state does not have it on lock, is you can contact your state, your Secretary of State on the state level, and your assembly person there, and say, what are you doing about these things? And how can you ensure that this is safe and available for everybody? That is what we can do. What else can we do?
So backtracking a little bit, for a state like California, I would actually really encourage everyone to sort of reach out to your friends, your family, and say, hey, do you have a voting plan, right? I think one of the biggest concerns right now is that people will be scared to vote, and even if it's vote by mail, they'll be like, right? Yeah. So just make sure everyone has a voting plan. They know what they're doing, especially since the vote by mail is different. Just make sure that it's on lock.
Yeah. And I think also to tell people, your friends, hey, what's your voting plan? My first instinct, because it's just what happens to me. My first instinct is like, well, they're gonna think I'm a real dork. But actually, for a hot second, I'm gonna feel dorky and vulnerable saying that. But then it's gonna give them that extra space of a moment of like, oh, my friend, because you and I are both very good friends. I got a care package from you and it was amazing. Like, as a friend, you're like, oh, I don't want to tell that person I did. So it actually is important to be really transparent and open and juicy about voting, because it's where our choices, and we're hiring people, for goodness sake.
Yeah, exactly. And I think if you ask them that, they'll be like, oh, okay, so I have my vote by mail ballot and now I need to go research where to drop it off, because sometimes it might be election day. You're like, where can I drop this off? Google. And it's like,
Totally been there. Yeah, exactly.
So as for other states, definitely get in touch with your state electeds, ask them what their plan is. And I would say just start reaching out to voters' rights organizations in your area, such as Fair Fight in Georgia, and say, okay, I'm very concerned about voting, and how can we make sure that we have this process down come the fall? What can I do to help? And as much as possible, start volunteering. And because we're still in the middle of a pandemic, a lot of that volunteering is probably going to be on the phone, probably going to be digital, and just really see what you can do to help get the word out, and that we have this election, this very, very critical election coming up.
It's my journal. My mom reads all the time. She's smart as can be. And she often tells me that I don't act or talk or dress age appropriately, but the way that she has raised me up to right now. And I'll agree that I do things that make her furrow her brow. But I love her. I love her. I love her so much. She's my mom. And she is why I'm here. And let me be perfectly clear. She'll call in a panic. Her friend sent a link. Gavin Newsom, he's the governor of California, is a Marxist. And this COVID might be some sort of crime rink that they're sending in Mexicans to fill up the hospitals. And maybe it's just a Marxist ploy because they want us all to stay home to collapse the economy so the Bidens can make people use plastic money. And maybe I saw that thing that people were posting about the corona being fake. And then the guy that produced it, I was like, hey, wait a minute. I think he took my headshots one time. Not that there's anything wrong with taking headshots, but I don't know why someone doing headshot stuff would also be involved in pandemic science. And I love her. I love her. We all have our ways to get through. And for someone older than me, and maybe you, this big world can seem like it's moving really fast and scary. It's true. So they find news and reports that will say it's not your fault that the world is this way, and you should say scared because it's us versus they. But if it really is us versus they, that means my mama is an us and I'm a they, and that's not true.